The scrapyard floated at the edge of the station like a forgotten thought. Broken ships, twisted metal, and dead machines drifted slowly in the cold black space. No music played here. No voices laughed. Even the stars felt far away. This was the place where things were sent when no one wanted them anymore. In the center of the scrapyard lay something that did not belong. It was huge. At first glance, it looked like a pile of white wreckage, metal and bone mixed together. But then one eye opened. A massive albino dragon lay chained to a broken cargo platform. Its scales were white like old snow, dull and cracked. Deep scars ran across its body. One wing was bent at a wrong angle, the other torn and useless. Thick energy chains wrapped around its chest, legs, and neck, glowing faintly red. The dragon did not move. Many believed it could not. "This one is finished," an alien trader said, floating nearby. His voice echoed inside his helmet. "Paralyzed. Wings destroyed. No value." Another alien laughed. "A flying god that cannot fly. Sad." The dragon's pale eye followed them slowly, filled with something worse than anger. Shame. Once, it ruled the skies of distant worlds. Once, entire fleets changed course to avoid its shadow. Now, it was treated like broken cargo. Days passed. No one came to help. Then one cycle, a small repair shuttle docked at the scrapyard. A human stepped out. He was not impressive. No armor. No weapons. Just worn boots, a tool belt, and a jacket with burn marks on the sleeves. His name was Elias Ward, a mechanic hired to repair old station systems. He had no rank, no title, and no idea what waited for him today. Elias floated slowly through the debris, scanning damaged machines on his wrist screen. He sighed. "Another long day," he muttered. He repaired what others ignored. Old engines, dead drones, cracked power cores. It paid little, but it was honest work. Then his scanner glitched. A massive energy reading spiked ahead. "That's strange," Elias said softly. He turned and saw the dragon. Elias stopped moving. For a long moment, he just stared. He had seen alien creatures before. Big ones. Dangerous ones. But this was different. The size alone made his chest feel tight. The scars told a story of violence. The chains told a story of fear. Slowly, carefully, Elias floated closer. The dragon's eye locked onto him. The traders shouted from afar, "Hey, human, don't get close to that thing." "It's dangerous," another yelled. Elias raised a hand slightly, not turning around. "If it was dangerous," he said calmly, "it wouldn't be chained like that." The dragon did not roar. It did not attack. It only watched. Elias noticed the wing joints first. The bones were misaligned. Nerve ports, old military ones, were burned out. Someone had tried to weaponize this creature, and failed. "They broke you," Elias whispered. The dragon's eye flickered. No one had spoken to it like that in a long time. Elias scanned the damage. His screen filled with red warnings. Permanent paralysis detected. Flight systems, non-functional. Recovery chance, 0%. Elias frowned. 0% just means nobody tried hard enough, he said. The traders laughed loudly. "You're wasting time," one said. "It will never fly again." Elias looked at the dragon's chest. It still rose and fell. Slow. Steady. "It's alive," he replied. "That's enough for me." He reached out and placed a hand on one broken metal brace attached to the dragon's wing. The chain sparked. The dragon tensed, expecting pain. But it did not come. Elias adjusted the brace carefully, loosening pressure from a damaged nerve. His movements were gentle, precise, like a man fixing something precious. The dragon released a low, shaky breath. Elias froze. "Okay," he said softly. "That's good. You felt that, didn't you?" For the first time in months, the dragon felt something other than pain. From high above, hidden behind station shields, unseen eyes watched the human mechanic closely. "This should not be possible," a voice said quietly. Below, unaware of gods, laws, or watchers, Elias Ward activated his tool light and leaned closer. "I don't know who you are," he said to the dragon, "but I can try." The dragon's eye slowly closed. For the first time since it was chained, it chose to trust. And in the silent scrapyard, something ancient stirred. The scrapyard lights flickered weakly as Elias returned the next cycle. The place always felt cold, but today it carried a strange tension, almost like the metal around him knew something important was about to happen. He floated down to the dragon again. It hadn't moved from where he left it. Still chained, still damaged, still silent. But something had changed. The dragon's eye opened the moment it sensed him. Elias smiled softly. Good. You're awake. The dragon blinked slowly, as if surprised someone returned. Usually, things left in the scrapyard were forgotten forever. No one came back for them. No one cared. But humans were strange. Elias set down his tools on the broken cargo platform. He checked the old mechanical braces on the dragon's wings again. Rust, burn marks, sharp edges cutting into scales. This is terrible work, he muttered. Who put these on you? A blind child. The dragon gave a weak rumble, a sound that might have been laughter in another life. Elias didn't understand dragon language, but he understood pain. He had seen it in machines, in people, and now in this majestic creature. I'm going to check your main spine support, he said. If it hurts too much, blink twice. The dragon blinked once. Good. That means you understand me. Elias moved around the creature, studying the great white body. The scales were cold like ice, but warm under the edges where blood still moved. He activated a handheld scanner. Lines of blue light traced over the dragon's body, revealing the truth. The paralysis wasn't natural. It was sabotage. Elias frowned deeper. Someone did this on purpose. He scanned the dragon's wing joints. The nerves were cut in a way that made no sense. Not battlefield damage. Not accidental. Someone didn't want this dragon flying again, ever. But why? Elias whispered. Were you? High above, hidden observers watched the humans' every move. A group of alien officers stood around hologram screens, faces stiff with fear. He is touching the sacred one officer whispered. This is forbidden. Dragons only heal under royal order. Another step closer. Should we stop the human? No, a cold voice replied. Let us see how far he goes. If the dragon accepts him, something ancient may awaken. Down in the scrapyard, Elias placed both hands on the dragon's neck brace. The metal was so tight it crushed the scales underneath. Whoever locked you up like this? Elias muttered. They didn't care if you lived. He pulled a wrench and began loosening bolts. The dragon's eye widened. Elias paused. Does that hurt? The dragon blinked twice. All right, let's do it slow. He worked carefully, taking long breaths, making sure not to twist too fast. He whispered small, calming words. Not because he thought the dragon understood, but because it felt wrong to stay silent. After several minutes, the last bolt fell free. The dragon exhaled sharply, not in pain, but relief. A heavy, deep sound that made dust rise from the platform. I know, Elias said, brushing metal dust off his gloves. These braces were strangling you. He looked up at the dragon fully, really looked. Someone wanted to stop you from being who you are. The dragon's pupils tightened. Something fierce flickered behind its tired eyes. Elias moved to the wing joints next. They were more complicated. Alien tech mixed with machine parts. Every part screamed, damage intentionally done. He shook his head. I fix dead machines all the time. But you're alive. Fixing you feels different. He hesitated before touching the wing. This might hurt, he warned. He adjusted one joint slightly. The dragon jerked. Elias immediately stopped. Easy, easy. I'm sorry. He placed a light hand on the wing. His voice dropped to a whisper. I won't force anything. I only fix what wants to be fixed. The dragon stared at him for several seconds, then slowly lowered its head to the ground. A sign of trust. Elias took a shaky breath. He wasn't used to creatures trusting him. Machines didn't trust. People barely did. But this great beast, this wounded god, was allowing him to help. All right, he said. Let's try again. He adjusted the wing support in tiny movements. Each time the dragon twitched, he paused. Slowly, carefully, gently, a broken nerve poured-aligned. A crushed muscle relaxed. A twisted bone clicked softly into place. The dragon inhaled sharply. Electricity flickered across its scales. Its tail moved, just a tremble, but a movement nonetheless. Elias dropped his tool. "You moved," he whispered. The dragon blinked once, slowly, proudly. Elias laughed under his breath. "You're not done. Not even close." He stepped back to view the creature. "You're not useless," he said firmly, "and you're definitely not dead weight." No one had spoken such words to the dragon since the war. A faint spark lit behind its eyes. Not fire, not power. Hope. Far above, the alien officers watched in silence. "The human is repairing the sacred nerves." One said, "That should be impossible." "Humans break things," another muttered. "They do not heal dragons." But the cold voice answered again. "You are wrong. Humans fix what others abandon." Down below, Elias lifted his wrench again. "Let's keep going," he said. "I don't know who hurt you, but I'm going to undo every bit of it." He didn't know the watchers were trembling. He didn't know ancient laws were breaking around him. He didn't know the dragon's heartbeat was rising for the first time in months. All he knew was one simple truth. He was a mechanic, and this creature needed fixing. And so, with steady hands and a stubborn human spirit, Elias kept repairing the impossible. The next cycle came with a heavy mist inside the scrapyard. It wasn't real weather, just leaking coolant drifting through the air like ghost fog. The glowing chains around the dragon pulsed weakly, sending tiny sparks across its scales. Elias arrived early. Too early. He hadn't slept much. His mind kept replaying the dragon's small movements, that tiny tremble of its tail, the sudden spark along its scales. Machines didn't react like that. Only living beings did. And something inside him whispered that today would be different. When he reached the dragon, it opened its eye before he even spoke. Not slow this time. Fast and alert. "You're watching for me now?" Elias asked with a smile. The dragon blinked once, almost annoyed. All right. Elias chuckled. "I get it. You're proud." He set down his tools. The dragon shifted slightly. Small movements, but real ones. Elias inhaled sharply. "You're healing faster than I expected." The dragon blinked twice. Pain. Elias nodded. "Yeah, I figured. Today might hurt a little." He scanned the dragon again. The damage to the spinal ridge was the biggest reason the creature couldn't move. The nerves were twisted, burned, and fused by force. Someone had wanted this creature broken forever. Elias didn't know why, but he didn't need to. "I'm going to start repairing your spine," he said softly. "This won't be easy. Blink twice if you need me to stop." The dragon blinked once. "Continue." Elias carefully touched the first damaged nerve port. The dragon's body tensed instantly, muscles tightening under his fingertips like coiled steel. Easy, Elias whispered. "I'm here." He adjusted the burn connector, turning it millimeter by millimeter. The dragon shook, claws digging into the metal platform. A low growl escaped his throat, the sound of pain, ancient and deep. Elias froze. "Do you want me to stop?" The dragon blinked once. "No." Elias whispered, surprised. "You want to keep going?" The dragon blinked again, firm. It wanted this. It chose the pain. Not because it liked it, but because it trusted him. Elias swallowed hard. Something warm and heavy settled in his chest. A feeling he hadn't felt in years. Responsibility. He turned back to his tools. "All right, hold on." He began to work again. Every movement he made sent vibrations through the dragon's spine. Every adjustment caused tremors along its wings. At one point, the entire scrapyard platform shook as the dragon clenched its limbs. Elias kept his voice soft and steady. "You're doing great. Almost there. Just a bit more. Stay with me." He said it like a mechanic calming an engine, but his tone held something else. Care. Hours passed. Coolant mist thickened in the air. Lights flickered above them. The dragon's breathing grew heavy and uneven, but it did not blink twice. Not once. It endured all of it. Finally, Elias fixed the last fused nerve. When he stepped back, sweat dripping from his forehead, he simply said, "Try moving gently." The dragon didn't move at first. It just stared at him, long and silent. Then, slowly, like waking from a long nightmare, its tail lifted, only a few inches, but the motion was smooth and controlled. Elias punched the air. Yes, that's it. A pulse of white energy shimmered across the dragon's scales. Something wild, something ancient, something powerful. It felt like the air itself bowed in respect. But Elias had no idea what he had just awakened. High above, behind a hidden observation screen, the alien officers panicked. "The Sacred One's life force is returning," one gasped. "This human is repairing royal nerves," another whispered, horrified. "No living creature can survive spinal healing without magic, but he is doing it with tools." The cold voice returned, calm but trembling underneath. "This is the power of humans. They repair what the galaxy throws away." Down in the scrapyard, Elias continued inspecting the dragon. "You're stronger than you look," he said with a light laugh. "And bigger, much bigger. Honestly, I'm amazed you haven't eaten me yet." The dragon's eye narrowed, almost offended. "Oh, so you're picky?" Elias teased. The dragon huffed sharply, blowing a burst of air that sent Elias stumbling back. "Hey, I'm helping you," he shouted, trying not to smile. The dragon tilted its head slightly, the closest thing it had shown to amusement. A tiny bond formed in that moment. Fragile, quiet, real, not between mechanic and machine, not between human and beast, but between two broken things who chose not to stay broken. Elias stepped closer again, placing a gentle hand on the dragon's snout. Its scales were cold but alive under his palm. "You're not alone anymore," he said softly. The dragon closed its eye, accepting the touch. The scrapyard fell silent. Even the drifting debris seemed to pause, watching them. For the first time since being chained, the dragon allowed itself to rest while another being stood close. Elias sat near its head, leaning back against the cold metal. "You know," he said quietly, eyes half closed, "I've fixed a lot of things. Engines, ships, broken tools, but repairing you feels different. Feels like fixing a piece of the universe." The dragon opened its eye again, slowly, warmly, as if saying, "And I see something in you too. Human." Far above, the alien officers watched something they had never seen in their lives. A dragon showing affection to a human. "This is impossible," one whispered. "No dragon forms a bond with an outsider." "He is not an outsider anymore," the cold voice answered. "The dragon has chosen." Elias didn't know anything about ancient traditions, royal bloodlines, or forbidden laws. He only knew one thing. He wasn't going to stop. Tomorrow, he would return again. And the next day, and the day after that, until the dragon could stand, until it could lift its wings, until it could rise into the sky again. He didn't know the galaxy was holding its breath. He didn't know his life was about to change forever. He only whispered one thing to the dragon before leaving. "I'll fix you. I promise." The dragon opened its eye one last time, and believed him. The next cycle began unusually quiet. Too quiet. When Elias entered the scrapyard, he didn't hear the usual hum of broken machines or the distant chatter of traders. The air felt heavier, colder, like the station itself was afraid to breathe. The dragon felt it too. Its eye opened sharply, scanning the shadows. Elias frowned. "You sense it, don't you?" The dragon blinked once. Danger. Elias set down his tools slowly. "All right, talk to me. What's wrong?" Of course, the dragon couldn't speak his language, but the way it lifted its head, the way its scales tightened, the way its nostrils flared, all of it screamed one thing. Something is watching. Elias scanned the yard but saw nothing, just old metal, drifting wires, and the glowing chains around the dragon. But he felt it too, a presence cold and sharp. He rubbed his arms. "Great, now I'm paranoid." He approached the dragon carefully. "Let's focus on your wing today." If we keep going, you'll be able to lift it soon. The dragon didn't blink, didn't move, didn't relax. Its gaze stayed fixed on a dark corner above them. Elias followed its stare. Nothing there, just shadows. He shook his head and tried to switch on his tool light. But the moment the beam touched the dragon's scales, the chains reacted. A bright red spark, a crackle of energy, a growl from the dragon. Elias jerked back. What? I didn't do anything. The chains pulsed harder, sending waves of energy through the dragon's body. The creature clenched its teeth, resisting the pain. What's happening? Elias whispered. A small panel on the chain anchor lit up with alien symbols. Symbols Elias had never seen before. Suddenly, a holographic screen flickered to life above the dragon. Royal property. Unauthorized contact detected. Elias stared at the words, confused. Royal? Property? What property? Whose property? The dragon shut its eye tightly, as if ashamed. Elias stepped closer, voice tight. What did they do to you? But before he could touch the chains, a cold voice echoed through the scrapyard. You should not be here, human. Elias spun around. Four alien officers stood behind him, their armor glowing with authority. Their faces were hardened, fearful, and angry all at once. The dragon tensed, growling low. Elias raised his hands. Okay, calm down. I'm just repairing. Repairing? The lead officer snapped. You are interfering with a sacred being. Elias blinked. Sacred? That's a living creature tied up like a broken toaster. The officer's eyes widened at the insult. You speak without understanding. Human. That dragon is not a creature. It is a royal heir. Elias froze. What? The last albino heir of the dragon's sovereigns. The officer said, voice shaking with the weight of the words. A being older than your species. A commander of storms. A ruler of skies. Elias turned slowly toward the dragon. The creature looked away, ashamed, wounded. You, Elias whispered. Your royalty? The dragon blinked once. Painfully slow. Elias felt something strange in his chest. Not fear. Something heavier. Respect. But also anger. Deep, burning anger. Then why is it chained? Elias demanded. Why is it left here to die? The officers exchanged uneasy glances. It lost a war, one said softly. It refused to join the invaders, another added. It became inconvenient. Elias clenched his fists. So, you paralyzed it? Tortured it? Left it here like trash? The lead officer's jaw tightened. We followed orders. Elias stepped in front of the dragon. Yeah? Well, I don't follow yours. The officers raised their weapons. The dragon shifted, wings trembling, ready to fend him even though it could barely move. The lead officer hissed. Step aside. The dragon must not bond with anyone, especially a human. Elias's breath caught. Bond? What bond? The officer pointed at the dragon's chest. A faint white glow pulsed under its scales, small, but visible now that Elias looked. That light, the officer said quietly. It appears when a dragon chooses a partner, a protector, a rider, a soul-bound equal. Elias felt the ground slip under him. No, he whispered. No, I didn't. I'm just a mechanic. The officer shook his head. Dragons do not choose by accident. Elias glanced at the dragon. The dragon stared back, unblinking, unbroken, proud despite its chains. And in that moment, Elias understood. All those small movements, all those moments of trust, all those silent choices, it wasn't just healing. It was choosing. Him, a simple mechanic, a nobody. Elias swallowed hard. Why me? The dragon closed its eye gently, not in fear, but in calm acceptance. The officer stepped forward. Move aside, human. The bond must be broken. The dragon growled loudly, shaking the ground. Elias squared his shoulders, heart pounding. I'm not moving. You cannot protect it, the officer warned. Elias took a step back until his shoulder touched the dragon's cold scales. Watch me. Above them, alarms began ringing. The chains glowed brighter. The dragon's heartbeat thundered through the scrapyard. The officers raised their weapons. And a secret older than the station itself awakened. The dragon lifted its head just a little, and a soft rumble rose in its throat. The officer whispered, horrified, "This is bad. If the dragon fully awakens, the bond will be permanent." Elias didn't know what that meant. He didn't know what would happen next. He only whispered one thing to the dragon. "I'm with you." The dragon's eye shone with fierce light, and the scrapyard trembled. Chaos exploded in the scrapyard. Red alarms flashed across the broken hulls. The glowing chains wrapped around the dragon pulsed like angry veins. The alien officers shouted commands, raising their weapons. Sparks flew from the dragon's scales as its heartbeat surged harder than ever before. Elias stood between them and the dragon, his legs shaking, but he did not move. The dragon's eye locked onto him, bright, fierce, alive. "Stop your actions immediately," the lead officer shouted. Elias swallowed. "No." The officers hesitated. Most species stepped back when weapons were pointed. But this human stood like a wall of stubborn stone. One officer whispered, "He is unarmed. Why is he not afraid?" Another replied, "Humans are unpredictable, dangerous when emotional." Elias didn't hear them. His entire focus was on the dragon. Pain rippled under its scales. The chains were reacting to bond, tightening, shocking, trying to force obedience. "Gotta get these off," he muttered. He stepped closer to the dragon's massive body. Electricity snapped across the chains. The dragon flinched, struggling to stay still. "Easy," Elias said softly. "I know it hurts. Just give me a moment." His hands shook as he reached for the chain locks. Alien tech, complex, ancient, almost alive. One wrong touch could fry his bones. Still, he touched it. The officers gasped. "Human? That technology is lethal." Elias gritted his teeth as energy stung his fingers. "Yeah, well, Payne and I are old friends." He inspected the locking mechanism. It wasn't meant to be opened. It wasn't meant to ever release. "It's a permanent binding," he whispered. "They never plan to free you." The dragon released a low, trembling rumble, anger, grief, and shame tangled together. Elias shook his head. "No, don't be ashamed. This isn't your fault." He pulled a tool from his belt. A simple thing, old earth metal, chipped at the edges. Compared to the alien technology, it was laughable, but human hands held it. Human stubbornness drove it. Human hope aimed it. Elias jammed the tool into the lock. Sparks exploded, bursting up his arm. He hissed in pain. "Step away," an officer shouted. "Those chains react to life force. You'll be killed." Then they should have made them stronger. Elias snapped back. He twisted harder. The chain fought him, shocking his wrist, burning his palm. But he didn't stop. "This dragon trusted me," he growled. "I'm not leaving it to die." The dragon's eye widened slightly at his words. Its claws dug into the metal platform, not from pain, but emotion. Trust was a rare thing for dragons. Trust in a human? Unheard of. The officers panicked. If he breaks the first lock, the dragon's power might awaken. It cannot be allowed. "Shoot him." The lead officer raised his weapon. The dragon sensed danger. It tried to lift its wing, desperate to shield Elias, but the broken bone strained under the brace. A sharp cry of pain tore from his throat. Elias froze. Then something inside him snapped. He turned toward the officer, eyes blazing. "Don't you hurt it?" The officer faltered. Something in the human's voice wasn't normal. It wasn't fear or fury or desperation. It was command, and even they felt it. Elias turned back to the chain, breath shaking. "Just a few more degrees. Come on, come on." The lock vibrated violently. Energy surged through Elias's body, lifting his hair, burning his skin. It felt like lightning trying to crawl through his bones. The dragon roared, not at him, but for him, its cries shaking the scrapyard walls. Elias shouted over the noise. "You want to fly again, don't you? Then hold on." With one final roar of human frustration and determination, Elias twisted the tool with all his strength. Crack! The first lock shattered. A shockwave blasted outward, knocking debris into the air. The dragon gasped, its first free breath in years. White energy flared across its scales, trembling like starlight. The officer stumbled, horrified. He released the first seal. This is impossible. Humans cannot break royal bindings. The lead officer whispered, pale, he's not breaking them with strength. He is breaking them because the dragon wants him to. Elias looked at his burned hand. The skin was red and shaking, but he grinned. One down. He moved to the second lock. The dragon shook its head weakly, warning him, trying to tell him stop. The pain from the released seal was still fresh. Elias touched its muzzle gently. I know it hurts, but we're doing this together. The dragon exhaled, long and trembling, then closed its eye. Permission. Elias got to work. The second lock was worse, older, deeper, almost buried under scales grown over time. He carved carefully with his tool, sparks raining down his arms. His shirt smoked from heat burns. His hair crackled with static. Still, he kept going. The officers aimed again. Elias didn't even look their way. If you shoot, you'll hit the dragon. Go ahead. Try me. They froze. Humans were reckless. But this one was terrifying. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, Elias placed his hands on the second lock. And break. Crack. Another blast of energy. This time the platform itself trembled. The dragon's paralysis lessened. Its wings twitched, more controlled than ever before. Hope ignited in its chest. Elias laughed breathlessly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're waking up. The dragon's eye glowed, bright, powerful, ancient, alive. The officers stepped back. This is the beginning of an awakening. Once the final lock breaks, the dragon will regain its full power. He must be stopped. Elias lifted his tool, burned hand trembling but determined. One more, he whispered. Just one more. The dragon stared at him with fierce trust, and the scrapyard braced itself. Because when a human refuses to quit, the impossible has already begun. The scrapyard vibrated like a beating heart. Dust floated into the air. Broken ship parts rattled across the metal floor. Even the silent stars outside seemed to lean closer, waiting. 2 locks were already broken. Only one remained. Elias stood before the final chain, his clothes burned, hands shaking, but eyes blazing with stubborn human fire. The dragon watched him. No fear, no hesitation. Only trust deeper than words. All right, Elias whispered, wiping sweat from his brow. Last lock. Then you're free. The dragon blinked slowly. Go on. Elias placed his hand on the final seal. A jolt of energy snapped up his arm. He staggered, teeth clenched. Oh, come on, you're not scaring me off. The chain hissed like a living thing. Its symbols glowed bright red, warning, resisting, screaming. Unauthorized release. Royal force lock. Elias rolled his eyes. Yeah, shut up. He inserted his tool into the deepest part of the lock. It vibrated violently, threatening to explode. Behind him, the alien officers panicked. Stop, human! This lock controls the dragon's core power. If you break it, the creature could destroy the station. Move away. You will kill us all. Elias didn't even bother turning around. He spoke calmly, like someone tuning an old engine. I'm not breaking the dragon. I'm fixing what you broke. The dragon let out a low, powerful rumble. Agreement, gratitude, maybe even pride. The lead officer raised his weapon. We cannot allow the awakening. Shoot him. But as they aimed, the dragon's eye flashed white. A shockwave burst outward, knocking every officer off their feet. Not with fire, not with claws, not with violence, with presence. A royal dragon defending its chosen human. The officers trembled. He has accepted the bond. The human is under royal protection. This is a nightmare. The cold voice among them whispered, No, this is history. Elias twisted the tool again. Lightning crawled up his arm. His vision blurred. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. His legs almost collapsed. The dragon panicked, trying to lift its wing to steady him. But the weak bones struggled. No. Elias gasped, forcing a smile. Don't help. Save your strength for flying. The dragon inhaled sharply. Flying. It had forgotten what that felt like. Forgotten the wind, the sun, the sky. But Elias remembered for it. One last turn, he whispered. Just hold on. He twisted the tool. The lock screamed. The dragon roared. The scrapyard floor cracked. And then, awaken, the final lock shattered. Silence. A silence. So deep even the alarms paused. Elias fell to his knees, panting. The dragon didn't move. Its chest pulsed, faint, slow, trembling. The officers stared, confused. Did it die? Was the power too much? No. Look at the light. A faint glow pulsed from the dragon's chest. Then brighter, and brighter, and brighter. White radiance spread along its ribs, spine, wings, filling every broken nerve, every scar, every burned place with living fire. The paralysis melted away. The bones repaired. The wings straightened. A deep, ancient heartbeat echoed through the scrapyard. Tum, tum, tum. The dragon opened its eyes. They were no longer dull. They were galaxies. Elias stared, breath caught. You're beautiful. The dragon lowered its head as if bowing. Then, its wings unfurled. Fully, majestically, for the first time in years. Wind blasted through the scrapyard. Debris flew everywhere. The officers shielded their faces, terrified. Impossible. It has awakened. We must call reinforcements. Elias stood slowly, wincing at the burns on his arms. You okay? The dragon leaned close. For a moment, the great beast rubbed its snout gently against his chest. A dragon's gesture of gratitude, of bond, of chosen family. Elias whispered, You ready to fly? The dragon's wings snapped open. Yes. The platform shook as the dragon crouched, claws digging deep into the metal. The officers screamed. Stop. The station cannot handle this. Seal the scrapyard. Prepare shields. Too late. With a single, earth-shaking movement, the dragon launched itself upward. Time slowed. White light erupted from its wings. Dust spiraled behind it. The ground cracked where it stood. The officers fell backward, screaming. Elias shielded his face from the wind. And then he laughed. A human laugh. Disbelieving. Joyful. Triumphant. The dragon burst through the scrapyard roof, shattering metal, sending bright shards into the void. And then it flew. Not clumsy. Not struggling. Not broken. It soared. Wings wide, shining like twin suns. A roar shook space itself. A roar declaring, a dragon has returned. Alarms across the station exploded. Ships spun around in panic. News feeds lit up with emergency warnings. Albino sovereign detected. Dragon awakening confirmed. All forces prepared defensive positions, but the dragon didn't attack. It circled the station once, twice, letting its wings remember freedom. Then it dove down toward the scrapyard, toward Elias. He stood in the broken ruins, smiling like a fool. The dragon landed before him with a thunderous crash, and then it knelt, lowering itself, inviting him. Elias blinked. You want me to ride you? The dragon tilted its head, as if saying, You freed me. Now we fly together. Elias laughed breathlessly. You're insane. Then he stepped forward and placed his hand on its warm, glowing scales. Behind him, the officers stared in dread. The bond is complete. No human has ever. The cold voice whispered, and now the galaxy will witness the impossible. Elias climbed onto the dragon's back. The dragon rose, and the universe held its breath. Because a human and a dragon, together, we're about to rewrite everything. The dragon hovered in the sky above the scrapyard, its wings glowing with royal power. Elias sat on its back, gripping the white scales that felt warm and alive beneath his hands. He had never flown before, and the galaxy had never seen a sight like this. Alarms across the station continued to wail. Lights flickered. Ships scrambled into defensive formations. Every species knew what it meant when an albino dragon took flight. A sovereign had awakened, and a human was riding it. The officers on the platform stared up at them in shock and fear. The lead officer whispered, "This cannot be real. A human and a dragon together? It is forbidden." "It is not forbidden," the cold voice corrected softly. "It is destiny." The sky opens. The dragon angled its wings and shot forward, faster than any ship in sector. Elias gasped, wind ripping past him, eyes watering. "W.O. Slow down. I don't have seat belts." The dragon rumbled a laugh. Elias held on tighter. "Okay, never mind. Don't slow down." Below them, the station shrank like a dying star. The scrapyard looked tiny, unimportant, forgotten, but Elias felt the opposite. Everything had changed there. His life, the dragon's life, and soon the galaxies. The dragon climbed higher until the stars were all around them like shining dust. Elias breathed out, stunned. "You were meant for this, weren't you?" The dragon's wings shimmered faintly in answer. Then something shifted. A strange energy moved under its scales. The air trembled. Elias frowned. "What's wrong?" The dragon turned its great head toward a point in space. A ripple of darkness spread like a wound across the stars. Elias squinted. "What is that?" The dragon's body tensed. Hard. A low growl vibrated through Elias's bones. "Enemy." The hunters arrive. Ships emerge from the darkness, sleek, sharp, black as poison. Their hulls carried a symbol Elias had never seen, a spiral with 3 fangs. The officers on the station screamed through radio channels. "The hunter fleet. They have come for the dragon. They track the awakening. We must evacuate." Elias's heart pounded. "Who are they?" The dragon answered with a roar that shook the heavens. The hunters were the ones who had paralyzed it, the ones who had sealed it, the ones who feared its power. And now they wanted their property back. A voice crackled through the enemy flagship. "Albino sovereign, you are ordered to surrender. The human on your back will be eliminated." Elias stiffened. "Oh yeah? Come try." The dragon snapped its wings open, light flaring brighter. Elias shouted, "You ready?" The dragon didn't answer with a rumble. It answered with fire. White fire. The kind of fire that only dragons of legend could summon. The first strike. The hunters opened fire, swift beams slicing through space. The dragon twisted sharply, dodging with impossible grace. Elias clung to its scales, heart racing, teeth clenched. "Please don't drop me," he yelled. The dragon tilted its head as if to say, "Trust me." It dove, slicing through the enemy formation. One ship fired a plasma net, intended to recapture the dragon. The dragon spun, wings folding tight, and Elias watched the net miss them by inches. "Nice move," he shouted. The dragon roared proudly. Then it unleashed a blast of white fire. The flame tore through the net projector and melted the ship in seconds. Elias stared, stunned. "You didn't tell me you breathed star fire. That's important information." The dragon's eyes sparkled with amusement and danger. This was not the broken creature from the scrapyard. This was a sovereign, the bond's true power. As the hunters regrouped, Elias felt a strange warmth spread across his palms where he touched the dragon's scales. The light under the dragon's skin pulsed. Suddenly, Elias heard something, not with his ears, with his mind. A soft, ancient voice. "Hold on, human." Elias's eyes widened. "You can talk. Only to the one I choose." The words were warm, calm, powerful. "You mean I'm your chosen rider, chosen partner, chosen friend." Elias swallowed. "Then let's do this together." The dragon's wings ignited with white fire. The battle turns. The hunters unleashed their full barrage. Missiles, plasma cutters, gravity spears. The dragon dodged between blasts, danced through explosions, and broke through their formation again and again. Its wings sliced through energy beams like they were dust. Elias shouted directions, not because he knew what he was doing, but because he felt the dragon needed him there, thinking with him, breathing with him. For the first time in centuries, a dragon wasn't fighting alone. The galaxy watched, and in their fear, something new bloomed. Hope. The last ship, only one enemy ship remained, larger and darker than the rest. Its weapons glowed blue. It charged a massive energy spear meant to pierce royal dragon armor. Elias felt the energy spike. They're aiming for your heart. The dragon growled. I know. Elias gritted his teeth. Then let's surprise them. Your plan? Yep. Try not to laugh. Elias stood on the dragon's back, balancing like a lunatic. He shouted at the ship. Hey! Leave my friend alone. The ship hesitated just enough. The dragon surged forward. Fire ignited, and together, human and dragon struck the ship with a blast of white flame and momentum. The ship exploded into a starburst of blue sparks. Silence returned. Space settled. The battle was over. The aftermath. The dragon drifted back toward the station, wings tired but strong. Elias patted its scales gently. You did it. No, the dragon answered. We did. The officers watched from below, bowing their heads. The sovereign has chosen a human. This is a new age. Elias slid off the dragon's back, landing on shaky legs. He looked up at his massive friend. So what now? The dragon lowered its head until their eyes met. Now, human mechanic, we protect each other. And the galaxy will never forget. Elias smiled. Good. Because I don't plan on going anywhere. The dragon lifted its wings, and together they rose into a future written in fire and sky.